Good afternoon. I'm Catherine Amirfar, President of the American Society of International Law. I hope you're enjoying this first day of our virtual annual meeting. At 5 o'clock, we will present today's concluding event, the annual Grotius Lecture, sponsored by American University Washington College of Law. Before we turn to that lecture, we want to pause for a special moment. Our Executive Director, Mark Agrast, and I have the privilege of presenting this year's honors and awards, recognized distinguished achievements in the field of international law.
If you've been attending the annual meeting in recent years, you know that this ceremony is normally part of our assembly, which was created in 2016 to provide for a common experience that brings us together as a society, to conduct our elections and other business in the presence of our membership, to celebrate the achievements of our colleagues, and to commemorate those who've played an important part in the life of the society. Although we're not able to assemble in person this year, we're glad that you can be with us for this virtual celebration.
This year's assembly is taking place in three parts. Our leadership elections were conducted online, and the results were announced at the virtual meeting of the Executive Council on April 2nd. At our opening ceremonies this morning, we called to mind the members whom we lost this past year. We recognized members who've achieved emeritus status, and we held our opening keynote program. We'll now proceed to the third part of our assembly observances, the presentation of our 2020 honors and awards.
Thank you, Catherine. We begin with the awards and prizes conferred by the Society's interest groups. The interest groups are a vital part of the Society, conducting meetings, programs, and scholarly activities in virtually every area of international law. Several of them present prizes either annually or every other year for distinguished work in their specialized areas. These awards are presented by the interest groups themselves in accordance with their internal guidelines and procedures, and we're pleased to announce them at this time.
The International Legal Research Interest Group awards its Jus Gentium Research Award for important contributions that provide and enhance legal information resources in international law, as well as for efforts to make those resources freely available. The 2020 Jus Gentium Research Award is conferred upon the NYU School of Law's Global Lex Project, edited by Lucy Alenikova, head of Foreign and International Law at Yale Law School. The International Refugee Law Interest Group has selected Delphine Roderick as the winner of its 2020 student writing competition for her submission entitled Rights Not Recognized, Applying ICCPR Article 16 to Migrants Pushed Back from International Borders.
The Lieber Society on the Law of Armed Conflict presents several annual awards. The 2020 Francis Lieber Prize in the article category is awarded to Ryan Liss for his article, Crimes Against the Sovereign Order, Rethinking International Criminal Justice, which was published in Volume 113, Issue 4 of the American Journal of International Law in 2019. The Francis Lieber Prize in the book category is awarded to Aniel Caro-de-Beer for her book, Peremptory Norms of General International Law, Jus Cogens, and the Prohibition of Terrorism, published by Brill Nijhoff in 2019. This year's Richard R. Baxter Military Prize is awarded in two parts. The honorable mention goes to Commander Wilson Vorndick, U.S. Navy Reserve, and Major Jahara Matisek, U.S. Air Force, for their article, Bitcoin's Blockchain Technology for Hybrid Warfare, Laws to the Rescue, published by the Journal of Information Warfare in 2019. And the 2020 Richard R. Baxter Military Prize is awarded to Captain Court S. Thompson, U.S. Army, for his article, Avoiding Pyrrhic Victories in Orbit, a need for kinetic anti-satellite arms control in the 21st century, to be published in 2020.
The last of our interest group prizes is the 2020 Prominent Woman in International Law Award, which will be presented by the Women International Law Interest Group tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. The recipient, Judge Elizabeth Odio Benito, of the Inter-American Court of Human Rights will participate in an informal conversation that you will not want to miss.
We now turn to the presentation of the Francis Deák Prize, awarded by the Board of Editors of the American Journal of International Law in memory of Francis Deák, the former head of the International Law Program at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. This prize has been awarded since 1973 to a younger author for meritorious scholarship published in the American Journal of International Law. Before announcing the award, I'd like to thank the Board of Editors and the Editors-in-Chief, Curtis Bradley and Lawrence Helfer. The 2020 Francis Deák Prize is awarded to Julian Arato for his article, The Private Law Critique of International Investment Law, published in Volume 113, Issue 1 of the journal in 2019. In its award citation, the selection committee noted that the article, quote, brought to light an aspect of international investment law's effects that has not been widely examined, crosses boundaries that most scholars avoid, views international law from the perspective of domestic private law, a rarity in the pages of ASIL, and demonstrates a sophisticated grasp of both. The committee concluded, the problems and solutions discussed by the article are timely and relevant and poised to have an impact. While this is not a requirement for outstanding scholarship, in this instance, it is a sign that the article's findings rang true and were significant.
In 2018, the Society created the David D. Caron Fund, which honors the life and achievements of David Caron, a distinguished international judge, lawyer, and teacher, and a beloved friend and colleague who served as the president of the Society from 2010 to 2012. That fund is used to support the Society's Fall Research Forum, which was created by David during his presidency. The fund supports fellowships to enable younger scholars to participate in the research forum and includes a prize for the best paper presented each year. For those of you who are privileged to know David, we can easily say he would have been so proud that this honor in particular bears his name. We're honored to have David's wife, Susan Spencer, with us today to present the 2020 David D. Caron Prize.
I'm happy to present the David D. Caron Prize for 2019 to Yanbei Andrea Wang for her paper on exporting American discovery. David believed in and loved international law, and he was a devoted member of ASIL for his entire career. For David, ASIL was more than a professional society. It was a community. When David unexpectedly passed, the community was shocked and saddened. Nonetheless, they rallied to perpetuate his legacy, and the David D. Caron Fund was created. I give special thanks to Charlie Brower, Kean Murphy, and Sean Murphy for their leadership in creating the fund. David loved the annual meeting. I'm grateful for Catherine, the annual meeting chairs, Mark, and the staff for their hard work in converting the 2020 annual meeting to a virtual meeting. Congratulations, Andrea, the 2019 David D. Caron Prize recipient.
Thank you, Susan, and congratulations to Andrea Wang. Andrea is only the second person to receive the David D. Caron Prize, and we look forward to selecting the third recipient at this year's 2020 Research Forum, to be held October 29th through 31st at Case Western Reserve University School of Law in Cleveland, Ohio. We now turn to the presentation of our 3 certificates of merit. I would like to thank the Book Awards Committee, chaired by Jean Galbraith, with committee members James Gothi, Eric Jensen, Elizabeth Trujillo, and Sir Michael Wood for their outstanding work in selecting this year's award recipients.
Our first award is the Certificate of Merit for High Technical Craftsmanship and Utility to Practicing Lawyers and Scholars. It is awarded to John Tobin for the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, a commentary, published by Oxford University Press in 2019. The committee writes, John Tobin has compiled an experienced set of writers to produce the most complete commentary to date on the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. Its detailed analysis will be an unparalleled benefit to those who practice in this important area of international law. The book is organized to be easily accessible for both practitioners and scholars. Although almost 20 years in the making, it is current and comprehensive and will serve as the foundational commentary on the convention.
Our second award is the Certificate of Merit in the Specialized Area of International Law, and it goes to Fernando Lusa Bordin for The Analogy Between States and International Organizations, published by Cambridge University Press in 2019. The committee writes, and I quote, "This book is an original and rigorous contribution to the literature on the subjects and sources of international law. It considers the role that the analogy between states and international organizations has played in the development of international law applicable to organizations, offering fresh insights into the usefulness and limitations of analogy as a method of argument in international law. The book is of high theoretical and practical interest and has the potential to be influential over the long term."
Finally, the Certificate of Merit for a Preeminent Contribution to Creative Scholarship is awarded to Loveday Hodson and Troy Lavers for Feminist Judgments in International Law, published by Hart Publishing in 2019. The committee writes, "This book invites the reader to reimagine international law from feminist perspectives. Contributors collaborate to rewrite landmark judgments in international law, from the Lotus case through to the present, using only sources that were available at the time of the actual judgment. The end result is a provocative portrait of what international law might have looked like with different decision makers and underlying power dynamics. The book stands out for its creativity, cohesiveness as an edited volume, and far-reaching vision." We know you join us in congratulating all of our Certificate of Merit recipients.
We now come to the point in the program in which we recognize the recipients of the Society's highest honors. We'll be presenting the honors at separate ceremonies tomorrow, but we want to take this moment to acknowledge all three of our 2020 honorees. First, I'd like to express my appreciation to the Honors Committee, chaired by Chantal Thomas, with committee members Marcella David, Monica Pinto, Paul Reichler, and Michael Reisman for their excellent work in selecting this year's honorees. The Honorary Member Award is the Society's oldest honor, first awarded in 1906, the year of our founding. It recognizes an individual of American or other nationality who has rendered distinguished contributions or service in the field of international law. Upon the recommendation of the Honors Committee, the Executive Council has selected Hina Jelani to receive this year's award. The committee's citation states that Ms. Jelani is, and I quote, "a pioneering lawyer in human rights and women's rights, both internationally and in her home country of Pakistan. Ms. Jelani established Pakistan's first all-woman law firm in 1980 and its first legal aid center in 1986. She's conducted many landmark cases, setting new standards for human rights in Pakistan, with a particular focus on the rights of the most vulnerable sections of society. Ms. Jelani founded the Women's Action Forum and is one of the founders of the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan, the most important national body for the monitoring of rights violations. In 2000, Ms. Jelani became the first special representative of the UN Secretary General on Human Rights Defenders. She's a member of the Council of Elders, an eminent international advisory group established by Nelson Mandela. The American Society of International Law is honored to present the 2020 Honorary Member Award to Hina Jelani. The Goler T. Butcher Medal has been awarded since 1997 to a distinguished person of American or other nationality for outstanding contributions to the development or effective realization of international human rights. Upon the recommendation of the Honors Committee, the Executive Council has selected Claudio Grossman to receive this year's medal. Professor Grossman is Professor of Law, Dean, and the Raymond Geraldson Scholar for International and Humanitarian Law at American University Washington College of Law. He was elected to the UN International Law Commission in 2016. The committee's citation states, and I quote, "Professor Grossman has worked tirelessly to promote human rights and the rule of law in a variety of leadership capacities in both international and domestic organizations. Among many other contributions, he has served as both member and chairperson of the United Nations Committee Against Torture and as chair of the UN Human Rights Treaty bodies. From 1993 to 2001, he served on the Inter-American Commission for Human Rights and was twice elected as its president. He's also served as the IACHR Special Rapporteur on the rights of women, as well as the Special Rapporteur on the rights of Indigenous populations. He has participated in a number of landmark human rights cases within the Inter-American legal system and currently serves as the president of the Inter-American Institute of Human Rights. The American Society of International Law is honored to present the 2020 Goler T. Butcher Award Medal to Claudio Grossman. Our final award, the Manly O. Hudson Medal, will be presented tomorrow morning. The Hudson Medal, the Society's highest honor, has been awarded since 1959 to a distinguished person of American or other nationality for outstanding contributions to scholarship and achievement in international law. Upon the recommendation of the Honors Committee, the Executive Council has selected Rudiger Wolfram to receive this year's medal. Professor Wolfram has been on the faculty of Heidelberg University since 1993 and served for nearly 20 years as director of the Max Planck Institute for Comparative Public Law and International Law. In 2005, he became general editor of the Max Planck Encyclopedia of Public International Law, a leading reference work in the field. In 2013, he became managing director of the newly created Max Planck Foundation for International Peace and the Rule of Law. He's authored and edited dozens of scholarly volumes on a wide array of subjects, including legitimacy in international law, the law of armed conflict and the use of force, international trade and development, international maritime law, terrorism at sea, and the right to a fair trial under international law. Professor Wolfram also is an eminent international jurist, having served from 1996 to 2017 as a judge of the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, and from 2005 to 2009 as the tribunal's president. From 1990 to 1999, he served on the UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, and from 1993 to 1998, he was the chairman of the working group of legal experts to the Antarctic Treaty Parties meetings. He's also a leading arbitrator, having served as president of the tribunal in the Bay of Bengal Maritime Boundary Arbitration, Bangladesh v. India, and as a member of the tribunals in the Chagos Marine Protected Area Arbitration, Mauritius v. United Kingdom, and the South China Sea Arbitration, Philippines v. China. For his monumental contributions to international law as a scholar, a judge, and an arbitrator, the American Society of International Law is honored to present the 2020 Manly O. Hudson Medal to Rudiger Wolfram. I know you join us in congratulating all of our honorees and award recipients. Before we adjourn, I'd like to make 3 brief announcements. First, I'm pleased to announce that our new signature topic is international law and climate change. The members of the steering committee are co-chairs Cinnamon Carlarn and MJ Durkee, with committee members Daniel Bodansky, Maxine Burkett, and Jacqueline Peel. Second, I'm pleased to announce that the co-chairs of the 2021 annual meeting will be Simone Badafort, Christy Edwards, and Darren Johnson. And finally, I would like to take a moment in the presence of their peers to express the Society's deepest appreciation to the co-chairs of this virtual 2020 annual meeting. Adejoke Babington Ashaye, Ruchi Gill, and Jared Wong, and all of the members of their committee. This was no ordinary year, and they did a truly extraordinary job, not only planning an in-person meeting down to the very last detail, but then reimagining and reconstructing the meeting in virtual form. I know you all join me in thanking them for the extremely hard work and congratulating them on their success. So, thank you. We will now adjourn until the Grotius lecture at 5 o'clock. I look forward to seeing you there.